we cover so much for so many people who don't care nothing about us. Henceforth, this book. We cover up so much stuff for everybody else to make sure everybody's good, but we're not okay. We stay in, I don't care what relationship it is, church, friendships, business partnerships, marriages, when we're trying to make sure everybody else is okay, but at the end, we are not okay. And then after it finally fizzles away, because eventually whatever it is going to die out because it's no longer on your life path, then you're stuck with the collateral damage.
What would you say was your lowest point?
Catching the love of my life, my husband, with his best friend's wife. I think that was the lowest point. If I lived, I didn't care if I died. I didn't eat. I didn't bathe. I didn't do nothing.
Welcome to the Marc Levar Experience. Today we have Monica Morose Rosario. She will be sharing with us her life story, her ups, her downs, how she got over a lot of different obstacles in her life. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the Marc Levar Experience.
Here's the limit and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit and you know that you can have what you want, be what you want. Sky is the limit and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit and you know that you can have what you want, be what you want, have what you want, be what you want.
But Mo, if you can give us some of who you are and then talk to us about your books.
Hey you guys, I am Morose Rosario, as he said, and I am a current author of 2 books. The first book is the one that I prayed for. This is part 1 to the trilogy. And the newest release is My Lover, His Beard. Now this is my newest book that I have. And currently this is where he's referring to. Both books will be at the book signing. In order to understand 2, you have to have part 1. But if you don't have part 1, it will be available for purchase at the book signing. And this one, of course, will be as well. I'm sure, though, that if you just have part 2, you will find some amazing things in there that will resonate with you in some facet of life.
Okay, all right, Mo. Well, let's kind of talk about the first one, the one I prayed for.
Yes.
Let's kind of tell me what inspired you to actually write this first book.
Well, this book in particular, this one, was very, very hard to write. These are all nonfiction books. They're about my life. I've been through a lot of things in my life. And being that I was raised in church, holiness, Church of God in Christ, we are taught that there's just some things you just give everything to God and you don't talk about some things. Well, with the different traumas I had in my life, you stuff them. And then one day, stuff comes to a boil. And I decided to start going to therapy for the different things. And I first started with trauma therapy, which was very eye-opening to a lot of things that I had stuffed along my journey. So being married twice, first time I was married at 21 for 8 years. And then the second time I was married for 8 years. And I got married at like 30 something. So divorced to both, just the things that all happened up until that point. I had held a lot of stuff and I realized that I had a lot of self-work to do on myself. And through the therapy, through the counseling, I realized that I really held on to a lot of things without having an outlet or really knowing how to let go, because we were always taught, and by me being in ministry myself throughout those years and preaching and teaching and laying on hands and stuff like that, I felt like I could not, I didn't know how to release the things. I didn't have an idea, because it was only one way, but I knew that I needed more than just the whole teaching of what they were saying about God. Not that I didn't need God, I just knew that it was more, because I still would be in the same place. So finally one morning here, after transitioning to move to Virginia, I was in my bed and God woke me up out of a sound sleep, and I sat straight up in my bed and God spoke to me clear as day and said, write the book. And I said, write the book. He said, you have been stuck for 20 years. He said, and these people have went on with their life and you was nothing more than collateral damage. He said, you write the book and I will take care of them. Because my biggest fear was people's opinions. If I put, of course I change names, but if you know, you know. You know, so I'm like, what are people going to think? What are people going to say? And God was like, who cares? Are they caring how you still cry at night? Are they caring how you still have an anxiety attack about certain things? Are they? No. So why do you care? And once he released me, I released it.
Wow. So I know a lot of times, you know, what we go through is it's the testimony, right? We go through a test for a testimony so we can share it. So someone else can be blessed by your story. So it sounds like you've been through some things that someone was to read this book that they would be blessed by it. Yeah. So this book seems like it was more of a therapy session.
It really was. And the amazing part of it is that when I got the book, my therapist bought my book. And I was so amazed when she called me and like, Mo, I got your book. She was like, I haven't been able to put the book down. She was like, and to hear that from your therapist, because she already know the raw and uncut. I'm on a, you know, when we having our sessions, I'm everybody, you know, I'm crying, I'm up, I'm down, I'm laughing, you know, so she knows all the trauma. But when she told me, Mo, I'm glad you did this. Like, I can't put your book down. She said, I always missed out on some patience sessions because I'm reading your book. She said, even though I know everything, she said, to see it written in the way that you wrote it. She said, the way you put the pieces together, she said, it's amazing.
Wow.
And so I didn't know what to say. I just knew that I had to get this book out. Like, and even at the end, I wasn't going to do it. Like the last 2 weeks of releasing it in June of 2021, I was not going to do it. But my publisher, bless her heart, Just J, the book plug, she's amazing. You can find her on Instagram or Facebook, but she was like, no, you're not. You're going to write it. You're going to finish it. We're almost there. She said, because I know what you're feeling. She said, because it was days that I'm typing your stuff out to format it, and I'm like, man, look, I had to put the book down. She said, it made me cry.
So let me ask you this. You know, when you've been through some things and maybe people have put you through certain things in your life, is there a point, as you said earlier, where you don't care what they think, even though you put in, and it may be some of their information that you put in this book. How do you feel about them knowing that it's out to the world now?
I don't care. It was a time when God freed me. When he free you from something, you're free. I could care less, because we cover so much for so many people who don't care nothing about us. Henceforth, this book. We cover up so much stuff for everybody else to make sure everybody's good, but we're not okay. We stay in, I don't care what relationship it is, church, friendships, business partnerships, marriages, when we're trying to make sure everybody else is okay, but at the end, we are not okay. And then after it finally fizzles away, because eventually whatever it is going to die out because it's no longer on your life path, then you're stuck with the collateral damage. You're stuck with trying to figure out, well, who am I? Where do I want to go? Because I've been trying to hold this persona or this image, but I'm broken. You know what I mean? So at that point, when God spoke to me and said who I was, collateral damage, I was like, wow. And they went on, and you still hear stuff emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. I ain't thinking about that and forgot what they did to you. And you're holding that. And I can't do what I need. I can't birth out all the creativity that I put in this earthen vessel, these treasures that are hidden for the world have not seen, but want to see, need to see, because you holding on to some people's stuff and you're more worried about what their opinion is of you, putting it out there, versus in what it's doing to you health-wise, you know, trusting other people on all different vast of levels. You're hindering your own self, your own life path, trying to protect them, and for what?
The thing that I can see in you, Mo, is, you know how you see someone, you can tell that they've been through something, but I can see an overcomer in you. I can see the pain, but I can see the growth. I see how, as we was walking into this building today, how people were drawn to you. It wasn't just what you had on, but people was just like, yo, who is she? Who is that lady? We walk in the room and the lady is just drawn to you. She's just having a full conversation, telling you her whole life story.
Yes.
So that means that, God has a calling on your life, as we all have a calling.
Absolutely.
But your story needs to be heard. And with these books, it sounds like they need to be read, because there's something in it. There's something in it that is going to help somebody who may be going through some suicide thoughts, help somebody who's going through some things that they can't get over in their life, that they're holding on to, and they're holding them weighted. And I'm getting that just from what you're telling me now, because I haven't read all the story yet. But listening to you, I can't wait to get in this thing and finish it. So that being said, I see, do you want to share, I see there's a young man on the back of the book.
Yes.
Explain to me who this young man is.
This young man is the one that I prayed for. In the book, there's a part where I had some trauma happen to me around the age of 16. And with that, I had a really bad infection, and it almost caused me to be sterile. And so I didn't think I could have any children. I had been pregnant before, I had miscarried after this situation. And so just didn't think I could have kids. All my friends had kids in school, so I kept all of their kids all the time, and they're all grown, and they're all special to me in a way that they will never understand. Because when I became at 20, thinking, well, maybe I will never be able to, those babies were like 3 by then, and those were my babies. So if I couldn't have any, all my friends that were close to me had them, and all I asked them, if anything, if we ever fall out, I'm getting emotional. Don't keep the babies away from me. If you mad at me, you be mad, but y'all know how I love these kids. Because it was times they would go out to parties and stuff, and 4 of my closest friends all had kids, so I would keep all 4 of the babies at one time. Don't ask me how I did it now, but I used to keep those little babies all together in my bed, change them, interact. They were together, and they were my babies, and I look at them now, they're all grown. They probably don't even remember any, of course, but just knowing that when I finally was able to conceive in a situation to where I would have never dreamed that I would be in, because anybody knows, I'm not going to give y'all a lot, y'all got to get the book, but anybody knows me, I've been an avid against certain things most of my life. And so when this time came on my end, I fell into a situation, y'all got to get the book, and I didn't care how the situation happened. When I took my pregnancy test and it said positive, oh my gosh, my whole world changed. It was just, I can't even explain it. If you have been someone who you feel are barren, and women who know, you feel less than a woman. You feel like you're not a complete woman. And these things are not true, but I'm just being real about the things that we feel. And the things that we go through. Even if we have children and then you get a hysterectomy later, you still feel like you're less than a woman. So these are the mental and emotional things that we go through in secret and silence that sometimes we never tell anybody. So when that opportunity finally came, and I had already went through a prayer thing with God for 30 days, and I'm praying, Hannah's prayer, but I'm still angry with God. I mean, I was angry with him. I'm talking about cussed at him, F you, that type of stuff, because I was there. And in the church, in ministry, even at that time, but I was pissed with God. Everybody else gets to get everything else. My life has just been blah, 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 blah. You tell me to go, I go. If you tell me to prophesy to total strangers, I do. What is going on? Just attitude. So I said, well, okay, I'm going to pray this prayer. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I don't even care anymore. I don't even want it. And in the midst of that, within that whole year, and then that 30 day that I went, I ended up pregnant probably 2 months after that. And God had told me what I was to name my son. And he told me it was going to be a son, but I'm like, whatever, I want a girl. I'm just rebellious, but I'm still in ministry. And I still am serious about ministry, and I'm still serious about ministering to people's souls. But my own personal stuff had nothing to do with that. I'd be mad at God, whatever, because you can do it for everybody else. You'll do it for them at the altar, and you ain't going to do it for me. So when that opportunity came and my womb was open, my life changed. It began to downward spiral to some terrible things, but also I wouldn't change it. Let's say that. I wouldn't change how everything unfolded. I am in a place in my life with the person that it unfolded with. I totally despised the person, yet it had to happen the way it happened. It happened the way that it happened. And I have to receive that, accept that, and respect that, and be okay with that. But at the end, I got the one that I prayed for. And you don't never know how it's going to come sometimes, what you ask for. He didn't say it wouldn't come without turmoil. He didn't say it wouldn't come without tears. He didn't say it wouldn't come without scrutiny. But you asked for it. And so, he's here.
Wow. It makes me think about the saying, things don't happen to you, but it happens for you. Mm-hmm. And what I'm getting also is that when you seek and you ask, be specific. Well, what you want with God, He will deliver. Mm-hmm. It may not be when you want it. Right. It may not be how you think it's going to happen, but He will come through. Mm-hmm. And it seems that your faith is very strong, and that through the things you've been through, you're an overcomer again, as I said earlier. So out of everything that has happened to you up until now, what would you say is the most, not trying to give away any of the book. No, we need to get in it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? What would you say was your lowest point? Your lowest point. I know you've been through a lot, but what was the lowest point when you just felt like you was ready to give up, or wasn't going to make, or was there ever a time like that you felt that way?
Several. I'm trying to outweigh them now. One that first came to mind was catching the love of my life, my husband, with his best friend's wife. I think that was the lowest point for me. Yeah, I think that was the lowest point, because I didn't care if I lived. I didn't care if I died. I didn't eat. I didn't bathe. I didn't do nothing. And he had gotten deployed on some training somewhere maybe 2 weeks after the situation. So I had to be in our home where everything had, and just keep repeating it like Groundhog Day, because I keep walking into the same space. And it was driving me mentally insane. Wow. And God sent a lady named Miss Carmen, and she was from Canada. And she was a very close friend of mine, Terry Taylor. Wherever you at, Terry, I wish I knew where you were, because your son is my godson, and he's a grown man now, and I haven't seen you in years because we were military. But it was her sister-in-law's, Joe's mother. This lady didn't know me, but she was a seer, just as I and my sons. But she came and knocked on my door, and I got up and I let her in, and she said, God told me to come over here. She was like, she even had a word. She was like, your husband, he didn't mean, it's not that he doesn't love you. This lady don't know nothing. She don't. And she said, but you have to live. You can't die. And I'm looking at her, and she's like, come on. She's like, where's your mom? And I'm like, she has a thick accent, so she's French accent. And I said, my mom lives in Pittsburgh. I'm just me here and my husband. And she's like, okay. And she was like, we're going to get you together. She checked me. She said, you are burning up. You have a fever. This is the first time I ever knew the words that this sickness is not unto death, but is spiritual. Because I didn't understand that. But she taught me that day. She was like, your sickness is not unto death, it's spiritual. She said, you have a fever. It was 105, or it was high. She was like, you're not going to lay here and die. She said, we're going to break this fever. And she went in my kitchen. I never heard of these remedies, but since then I've used it and it works. She cut up this onion. She found some newspaper. She measured my shoe and drew my foot and cut the thing out, put the onions against my feet, put the newspaper against the onions, and then put socks on my feet. She covered me up and she said, and it's so crazy how your body has memory cell, because literally sitting here talking to you, I'm going to that place. And she's like, you're going to be okay. And me, I just felt I was going to die, and I just, whatever. And she was like, your fever will be broke by morning. She did the sign of the cross on my head. She kissed me on my forehead. Didn't I know this lady? And she left my house. She said, I'll be back tomorrow. She left. She prayed over me. She left, and she came back tomorrow, and she's like, in my bathroom, when I say God will send you, I couldn't make this stuff up. She goes in my bathroom, she's running bath water like, oh, you're bathing today. You're getting up today. You're getting up today. So whenever I used to hear T.D. Jakes say, damsel arise, that would always break me, because I could remember I was that damsel who did not care if she died. And she was like, get up. And she got me in the tub, and I just sat there, and this woman, I don't even know her. I'm telling you, wash me up, and was like, you're getting out of here. And she did that. I don't even, she didn't know me from Adams to even touch me. You know what I mean? Like, just when you look at stuff, you're like, yeah, God, definitely. And from there, me and her had a beautiful bond. She finally did get to meet my mother, because she called my mother on the phone. And me and my mom were kind of not talking. And she was like, I don't know what you have going on, but your daughter is special. She said, and you need to get here. This is an emergency. Your daughter needs you, or you're going to lose your daughter, because she wants to die. And that's what she told my mom. My mom got on a flight, and she came, and she stayed. Her and Miss Carmen became very close throughout the years. I lost touch with her too. I don't even know if Miss Carmen is still alive, but she stayed in touch with us at least good 5 years after that. And then we all just, and me and him finally, in the book, finally went our way. So I lost touch with a lot of people because of how I just left abruptly. So, yeah.
Okay. Wow. So all that information is in the book.
Yes.
All right. So now what's the difference from the one I prayed for and the new book, My Lover, His Beard? My Lover, His Beard.
So My Lover, His Beard still has some of the storyline that goes into this. This one is more of how we as people cover. Whether we're in church, whether we're a parent, whether we're a child, whether it's a coworker, we have been beards for a very long time. We beard people. And this is step by step of the different ways that people beard people. It goes into how I was a beard. And that's what it starts with. And I didn't realize I was a beard. And as you go into it, you'll understand that I was a beard. I was a beard for someone who lived a whole totally different life. But I'm in love with you. I totally would do anything for you. But at the time, that was never your intentions. I was re-entangled in your life to be your beard.
So beard is, explain that to me.
It's again. A metaphor for a covering. Cover up.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. So, wow. I love the way you use that as a metaphor. So, you was a beard. Mm-hmm. How were you a beard for him?
Because he had another lifestyle that he lived, and though I asked plenty of times of, okay, I keep hearing this stuff. Is this true? He was like, oh, no, people just talk. But in fact, he was living a whole nother life, and it had nothing to do with women. So here I am, your beard, and had always been your beard, but just was too stupid to see it. Well, I don't want to say stupid because I'm not, but I was too blindly in love with him to see it.
Wow. So it kind of sounds like, if I'm catching what you're saying and what you're throwing or picking up what you're putting down, that he was entangled
in an alternative lifestyle.
In a different lifestyle, and you knew nothing about it.
I had thoughts.
Yeah.
And then people would tell me, but they wouldn't just come and tell me. Like, I don't want to be all hood, but just tell me. Like, it was always like, well, I keep hearing. And I said, well, yeah, I know, because I asked. And it's just like, no, don't. And so, don't get me wrong. They had some feminine mannerisms, very much so. But when this person dealt with me, as you'll see in the book, there was nothing at all feminine.
Wow.
When it came down to the whole intimacy, there was nothing feminine about any of it. So it was like a ball of confusion, if you will. Like, okay. And then when I found out the position that he played in this alternative lifestyle, I was really even more blown, because I'm like, you're good. Like, that's all I could say. Like, wow. Because the position he played, I just couldn't get my mind wrapped around how you are this way and then you're that way. Like, I don't know. It was confusing.
So after finding that out, him finding out that you knew, I guess you have to get the book to find out what happened. But the thing is that I'm sure there's a lot of that going on now. Now it's a little bit more open now.
Yes.
With the way society is. But there is still a lot of hidden situations,
especially in the church, because people still are hiding, and this is all church stuff. And so when you have people saying, oh no, they're delivered, they're this, and you're like, look, bro, I'm trying to tell you, like, at this point I know, but you'll find out when you finish reading. I know it. I know, and I mentioned when it all came out in part 1, and how people were just like, I'm making it up. So it was a lot of hurt, a lot of betrayal, a lot of backdoor conversations, a lot of sidebar conversations, a lot of going back and forth, behind my back, and that's the church stuff, you know what I mean? And people be like, well, why? I said, y'all, come on. I don't care if he was the best minister of music in the entire universe. Right is right and wrong is wrong. But because y'all were worried about some music, y'all would rather lose one.
So would you say, are you able to spot it a little bit more clearly now?
Oh my God, do I ever? Yes.
So
yes.
Okay.
And it's scary because, just be honest with me. I've already been through it.
Right.
Even with that situation, had you given me a choice, I asked you several times.
Right.
This is what I'm hearing. Like, just tell me. Then I can have a choice to say, yeah, I still want to deal with you, because we were unprotected, obviously. So, dude, you could have just told me that. You probably put out 2 condoms. But I'm just being honest. Like, give me a choice.
Right.
That's it, because overall, when it all narrows down to anything, at one point we were best friends. So overall of that, you couldn't just tell me the truth out of all people. And so that was the hurt part for me, because I mentioned in my book at the age of 18 how I miss HIV by the skin of my teeth, by as thin as a condom is. And I remember God spoke to me clear as day. As thin as a condom, there goes my love and my wrath. And that thing, that's how I was 19. And I was just like, this man has been dead and gone. But yeah, I could have, he died of AIDS in the early 90s. So it's only by the grace. And when he spoke that to me like that, so profoundly, that's just as thin as it is between my love and my wrath. It's thin as a condom, because if it broke, you could have been positive and gone. because they didn't really know nothing about it back then.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: someone who was to read this book, My Lover, His Beard, if they were to read this, do you feel that they would be able to kind of notice or be able to see it coming through reading your book, what you've been through? Like if they're going through that situation?
Oh, definitely.
It's like there's signs that you talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And more so, well, they can actually see in this book, in the first book, I go into a lot of it to pull you through to this book. So in this book, it exposes a lot of what to look for, what things I saw, the things, how, messages, calls, random, people showing up, and just different things I put in here. But also I put some of it in here. But more in this book, it's more telling you to recognize how you, if you're a cover, if you're a beard, who you may have all bearded and you didn't even realize that you bearded, the vast levels of bearding that people don't even think about. It's deep. It's deep.
So the beard gets thicker.
One of the titles is in there. The beard gets thicker. It's the thickened beard. I think it is. Each, and this is why this book I really, really love, because the way that God gave me the creativity of how every chapter is entitled has something to do with a beard. So for a man or for a barber or for someone in my industry, and that's what makes it the dual plus of me being in the industry, when they read certain words, they'll be like, you'll probably look it up like, what is that? And then once you read it, you'll be like, oh my gosh. And then when you get into the chapter, it all makes sense.
Gotcha.
So I put it to where it's all connected to like the different levels of beard, to the point you get to where you just shave the beard off and you're done. You're done. You don't want it anymore.
So once it's shaved off, you're open.
You can start it free. Exactly.
And you can start a new beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you might not even ever want a beard again after you.
I love it. I love that metaphor.
Yeah.
I tell you, listening to your story and what you shared with me so far, right? We watch this stuff on TV. We watch the Tyler Perry movies, and we see the different stuff. Like, is that real? But from what you're telling me and what you've been through, it sounds like next thing is gonna be a movie to come out after this.
Well, with this one, I do have a documentary that it just needs put together, and I need someone to do that for me. So everything but one thing isn't filmed. So I went everywhere. 2021, God allowed me to go back to Texas after 19, 20 plus years and meet up with everyone that is a part of the journey. I went back to the house, what do you call it? The townhouse that I stayed in when I caught my ex-husband with his best friend's wife. I went back there and was able to record. And what is so amazing, how you know when it's God, when he said, go back. And for one, I was received like, where'd you go? You just left, after 20 years. I was able to go there and stand outside. Of course, I was overwhelmed with emotions. I stood in the parking lot probably 20 minutes, seemed like crying, but nobody ever came out. In this day and time, what you doing out here? What you got your phones out for? What y'all doing? Nobody ever bothered us. And we were able to get all the footage that we needed. And everywhere that I went, it was like that, and nobody questioned us. Nobody did anything. So when you're on your right path. So I was able, when I went home this last weekend, to go back to the rest of the places that I needed to go back to in Youngstown, Ohio, where some things in the book all began. So honestly, when I first published the book, I sent my book to Tyler Perry Studios for it to be signed for. Like I said, yeah, they got to sign for it. Somebody signed for it. So whether it ever made it to his hands, I don't know. But I did. I sent him one. I sent him one right to his studio.
Oh, wow.
I did. And I was like, I paid all that extra money for it to get rushed and signed.
Okay. Hey, you don't know unless you try.
Right. That's it.
Well, what I like to do, ending towards a podcast, what are a few just a message, a quick few words of inspiration to leave with the audience.
I want to tell you guys that no matter what is happening in your life, no matter what has happened, you are not damaged goods. You are someone special to someone special, and that is God. Now, whether you believe in God or don't believe in God, I don't know. I will never not believe. But you have to believe in you and know that when the scripture says faith without works is dead, if you don't put something into you, something into working towards a better you, then your faith is dead, because he's not going to just come down and just relinquish everything or take everything away. We have to put in the self-work. Some positions and situations we have to also own that we put ourselves in, or we allowed ourselves to be put in. And whatever we allowed ourselves to stay in, we have to own that too. But you have to put in the work. And the main thing I want to say, no matter who doesn't show up for you, you have to keep showing up for you. I had the pleasure, and I tell people this because I don't steal people's lines and stuff. I'm not a thief. So I met Yo-Yo Fearless years ago behind set of a stage play she did in Youngstown, Ohio. And she came up to me, and for whatever reason God drew her to me, she gave me a big hug and she said, "Sis, God told me to tell you, you my sister for life." She began to speak in tongues. She began to pray for me, and she was like, "We're going to be in touch for a very, very long time." And all she would say to me for the 3 years that we stayed in close touch, sometimes we're talking on the phone and stuff, she would say, "Sis, keep showing up for you." She would say, "Keep showing up." I added the "for you" after that. But she would say, "Just keep showing up. It's going to happen. Just keep showing up." And so I added throughout the years, "Keep showing up for you." Because sometimes we look for others to do it and they just don't. And we have to be okay with that. You keep showing up for you, and don't give up on yourself, because there is a greatness that's down on the inside of you that the world needs to see.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Now, where can we find you at? Where can they follow you on social media, and where can they get your book?
Okay, you can follow me on social media, Books by Morose _. You can also follow me on Morose _ the brand, and then I have a clothing line, and that is morosethebrand.products. You can find either of these books on Amazon. So just type it in and both of them will pop up. I think even if you type in this one or this one, they both pop up together. So yeah, that's where you can find me at.
All right, well, thank you so much for the interview, allowing me to interview you today.
Thank you for having me.
I think that you are phenomenal. You are such a great person, and I wish you so much success.
I appreciate you, and thank you so much for interviewing me. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, take care.
Okay, you as well.